Writing formal business emails. Everyone, I should say as well, if you have any questions, any comments at all during the presentation, just please write them in the chat box, and I will address them as soon as I can. Okay. So today's agenda, 5 things. So I'm gonna talk about structuring a business email. I'm going to share with you some useful expressions that you can use in professional emails as well. I'll talk a little bit about tone and clarity. I'll also show you some differences between what we would consider formal and informal vocabulary and expressions. And then at the end, some advice about proofreading and reviewing. And at the end, of course, I will take any questions or any comments you have at that time. Everybody ready? Can I get a thumbs up? Yeah? Superb. Okay. First item on the agenda, structure of a business email. Now, before I begin, does anybody have experience writing business emails in English? Is this something you do regularly for work? I see some so-so faces, some yeses. Great, okay, thank you. In the past, yes. Okay, great. Cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure, and I'm going to show you an example email just on the right here, okay? Now, I worked as a journalist before I became a teacher. I worked as a journalist for 2 years prior to becoming a teacher. And the one advice my editor gave me about headlines is make sure you have all of the relevant information in your headline, okay? The same advice really applies to subjects as well in an email, especially in a professional context. So as we can see here, proposal for a new marketing strategy. This tells us what the email is about, right? Moving on to the greeting. Keep it simple. Dear Jane. Okay? If you know the person's name, of course, sometimes we don't have that luxury. I'll show you some expressions later on when we don't know the person's name as well. Opening, state the purpose of your email. So this is kind of the extended subject, if you will, okay? I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out to discuss the recent brainstorming session and to propose a new marketing strategy for the upcoming product launch. Down here, we have our body, as we like to call it. Detailed information, or main content of the email. I'm not going to read everything here. You guys can quickly look through that. You're B1 level, I trust you. And down here, we have our closing as well. So summing up the main points or action required and sign off. Okay. Conclude with your signature. Best regards, John Smith, Marketing Manager. Okay, so making sure to include your name, your company position, and any contact details like a telephone or Skype address or anything like that. Okay. Now we're going to dive into useful expressions one can use when putting together a formal email. Part 1, greetings, okay? Dear sir or madam, I'm sure you've all seen this one before, okay? When you don't know the recipient's name. Dear Mr., dear Mrs., dear Miss, last name as well, okay? Now, if you don't want to assume the gender of the person, you can literally say to whom it may concern. This can also work as well. Or if you're addressing a department, okay, like a recruitment department, Say, dear recruitment department, or for the attention of the recruitment department. Introducing the purpose or the topic, I'm writing to inquire about blah, blah, blah. I would like to bring your attention to, I'm contacting you regarding whatever the subject is. Making requests or suggestions. Could you kindly provide us with the report from last year? Could you kindly provide us with the financial statement of last quarter? I would appreciate it if you could, for example, send me the report, the sales report from last year. May I suggest that? Making a suggestion for someone. May I suggest that we schedule a meeting for next week? Okay. Providing information. Heads up, everyone, there is a lot of useful expressions in here today. A lot of vocabulary as well. I'll make sure you all get a copy of the slide as well. So yeah, providing information. I wish to inform you that, please be advised that it has come to our attention that could literally conclude with include many things here. So I wish to inform you that our business will be closed during the month of August. I'm talking about a French company, of course. Okay. Asking for information. Could you please clarify? Okay. This is a good expression we can use if you're not 100% sure of the information that's been sent to you already. If you don't understand something, could you please clarify what this document means, what this proposal means? I would be grateful if you could elaborate on. Might you be able to provide further details about? Just some other ways of saying that there. Expressing apologies. Okay. British is something we are prone to do. I apologize for any inconvenience caused. Please accept our sincerest apologies for, and we regret any oversight on our part. Okay. The last of our useful expressions for now. Closing lines. I look forward to your response. I bet everybody has seen look forward to in an email before. It's a very common way to close an email. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to your response. Thank you for your consideration. Please let me know if you require any additional information. Sign-offs. Now, this is something I get asked about quite a lot, okay? Now, there are many ways you can sign off an email in English, okay? The general rule is if you write yours sincerely, we use this when we know the recipient's name. We tend to use yours faithfully when you don't know the recipient's name. And kind regards. I bet we've all seen this one, okay? Tone and clarity. A little bit of advice for everyone here. Some pitfalls to avoid. It's a business email. It goes without saying. Don't be overly casual. You need to maintain that level of formality. Things you can do with this, avoiding contractions, for example. Okay, like I am, I'm, that's a contraction. Write it out in full. I am, you're, you are. Being aggressive or rude, I think this one is self-explanatory. That's not something we want to do. And the last one here, using excessive jargon. This may come off as sounding pretentious, and it may exclude recipients not familiar with the term. So if you're dealing with clients, for example, who are new to your company, avoid using jargon. Now, things you should do: empathy, of course, put yourself in the recipient's shoes. How would you feel reading your email? Now, some great advice for this. Again, this comes from my journalist days when I had to write many reports. Read everything out loud, okay, before you send it. When you read out loud, what it does is it allows your brain to hear exactly how your email is going to sound, okay? It's great advice. I do this with everything. Anything I write, read out loud. Trust me, it works. And as I say, another reason why it works so well is if you read solely in your head, it's very easy to miss, the mistakes or anything that you could change or amend. Okay, so read it out loud. It's a good way to empathize with the reader. Positive language. So instead of saying you failed to send the report, you could use, could you please update me on the report's status? Anyone working in sales or business development will know how important this is as well. And the use of the active voice, it's usually more direct and clearer. Okay, our team completed the project versus the project was completed by our team. The first sentence being active, the second passive. Other things to avoid the long rambling sentences. Okay, you want to make sure that you are understood in a business situation. Okay, keep the language clear, keep it precise and easy to understand. Don't be afraid to use full stops, okay, rather than long extended sentences that make up one paragraph. Ambiguities, so vague statements or instructions can confuse the recipient, so make sure you are being very clear. Once again, be clear about what is expected, what you are looking for. And overuse of acronyms. Not everyone may be familiar. This point goes with the point on jargon as well. Bullet points and lists. This is something that's quite favorable nowadays. I think with social media and all of these things, our attention span is a lot less than what it was. So it's good to make things concise. If you use bullet points, lists, it's easier for the reader to read. Bolden the text, highlight key points. This makes the information more visual, more striking as well. Highlighting any important information gives it that emphasis. And 1 point per paragraph. Again, this makes emails easier to skim and understand. The word skim here means to read quickly. And use clear subject lines. So instead of simply meeting, use team meeting agenda for October the 15th. Again, this goes back to the point I mentioned at the beginning. Like a headline, a subject, it should include all of the relevant information there. Vague versus clear. So I've got some examples here for us. We can see in the vague example, can we discuss the thing tomorrow? Clear, can we discuss the Q2 financial report tomorrow at 10 a.m? You could also say, can we discuss it tomorrow? That would also be quite vague as well. So make sure you're mentioning what the object or the purpose is. Negative versus the positive tone. Again, if anyone here works in business development or sales, you will know how important this really is. So you haven't responded to my last 3 emails. What's the issue? To say this in a more positive way, I noticed that my last few emails might have missed your attention. Can you please update me on the status? Notice here how it's a lot more polite, friendly, rather than saying, what's the problem? And of course, avoid being overly casual. So some examples here. So, hey, exclamation mark. Any updates on that thing we talked about last week? A more professional approach here. Hello, James. I hope you're well. Do you have any updates on the marketing proposal we discussed last week? Okay. So being professional, it requires more work, as you can see, but the payout would be better. So far, so good, everyone? Everyone's still with me? Yeah? Perfect. Now, formal versus informal. Okay. Now, with this here, let me just explain a little bit about this before we take a look at the differences. When we write professional emails, whether it be for our boss or our client, whatever it might be, we want to make a good impression, right? With the mix of words that we have on the left column, in English, we see them as more neutral, maybe a little bit informal. On the right, I have provided you with some great examples here to make yourself sound more professional. Instead of saying get, obtain, check, verify, talk, you could say discuss, ask, inquire. Just for the record, inquire can also be spelled with the letter I, not just the letter E. Okay, you can use both here. Need, require. Get, again, could be receive. Promise, assure. Get in touch, I think we've all heard this one before as well. A more formal way to say this is, of course, contact. Usually in professional emails, we tend to avoid any sort of phrasal verb or expression. A major exception to this would be look forward to, perhaps, one we talked about earlier. Okay, but for the most part, we tend to avoid phrasal verbs in professional emails. More, further, use, utilize, closer to the French there. Info, the abbreviation there, so make sure you're writing the words out in full, information. To book, the verb form, not the thing you read. To book a hotel room, to book a meeting room, it's quite good to say reserve instead. Give, provide, and chat, discussion. Okay? So, I'm not going to read every single thing here, but we'll go through some of these together. You can take a look on the screen here and let me know if you have any questions about them as well, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Okay? Now, as I said before, we tend to avoid abbreviations when it comes to professional emails. Okay, we can see this in a couple of the examples here as well. We can see it in the top one, about your job ad. Okay, we might say with reference to your job advertisement. We can see it down here as well with info. Okay, I'm attaching the info you need. You might say this to a colleague you have a good relationship with, just to make communication quicker. But if it's a client you're not overly familiar with, or perhaps someone in senior management, it would be much better to say, please find the attached information you require. Or if you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Okay. Now, in the previous slide, we obviously looked at some different terminology we can use instead of get, for example. Okay, we saw this a couple of times. Get, the past form, got. We got your report this morning. We got your proposal this morning. One could say instead, we received your proposal this morning. Sounds much more professional. My point about phrasal verbs as well. Put off, reporter, or postpone. Okay? Can we put off the meeting to Friday? In a more polite way, one could say, could we postpone the meeting to Friday, please? As English speakers, we love to use the word please a lot. Stereotype is true. And other things here, like think about, can also be considered a phrasal verb as well. One might say consider. My boss is considering. As I mentioned before, look forward to, also a phrasal verb, but we use this in a more formal way. This one is a bit of an exception to the rule. Okay. And we can see some things down here with the expressions. For example, get in touch, more suitable for a neutral or an informal approach. A better way to say this professionally, if I can be of any further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me. Okay. So far, so good. I know that's a lot of information to take in. Okay. So I'm going to finish up here with some advice on proofreading and reviewing. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the best pieces of advice when it comes to proofreading is really reading everything out loud. I'm going to stress this again. It helps with everything. It truly does. If you're writing a report in English or even French, read it out loud. Email, document, anything at all. Trust me, I'd be curious to see what your feedback is on that in future conferences if you do attend. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. So credibility, okay, so mistakes can diminish your credibility and that of your organization. So make sure that, it's important to make sure that you proofread everything effectively. Errors may cause confusion, they may lead to delays or perhaps even incorrect actions in more serious cases. The wrong use of a verb could confuse the reader and they might do something that's completely different to what you want. Professionalism, okay, so properly proofread emails exhibit attention to detail and respect for the recipient as well. Now, here are some tools that may help you here as well. I use some of these tools on a daily basis if I'm preparing content for students as well. So built-in spell checkers. So most email clients come with this feature, okay? You can even customize the software settings to correct common mistakes you make. I know this is a very common feature on Gmail in particular. Grammarly, another very popular tool that checks for spelling, grammar, and even tone as well. Hemingway app, I think I'm named after the one and only Ernest Hemingway, helps in identifying complex sentences, ensuring readability. And read aloud features. Many word processing tools actually have a read aloud option that reads the text for you if you don't want to do it yourself. Okay. We have some additional resources on our e-learning platform and an article on our website. So there's a module on our e-learning platform, Écrire un email. It's suitable for A2 right up to C1, so feel free to work on this exercise as well. We also have an article on our blog, so feel free to read that. And we also have a YouTube video as well, writing an email in English. So lots of resources for you today. Lots of language, lots of resources. Okay. I'm going to take some questions here. So I can see there is a lot of questions in the chat box. Let me address some of them. Get in touch, keep in touch. Slightly different, okay, with this one here. So to get in touch, sorry, means to contact, okay, but to keep in touch means to maintain contact regularly, like once a week or twice a week, okay. Formal, is it to use in professional world only? It depends. I would say mostly yes, but for example, if you are, dealing with a legal matter, or if you are dealing with, I don't know, something medical related, basically a person that you don't really know that well, and there's some sort of maybe transaction between the two parties, then yeah, I would probably stick to more formal style of writing. Okay. What other questions do we have here? So Erica, you say with reference and not in reference to. You can say both. Okay, well done. And in regards to the PDF, yes, I'll make sure this PDF is available for everyone as well. Okay. I have a question here in the recipient's name. So the person receiving the email. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, some good questions there, everyone. Any other comments, any questions before we finish up? You can switch your microphones on now if you want. Everything's clear, everything's concise.
Well, it was very clear for me. Thank you very much, Warren.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for the comment there, Sandrine.
Thank
okay.
The same.
Yeah.
It's very, very formal in English, the emails, because in French, we can use more familiar expressions, not familiar, but common expressions.
More common expressions. Yeah.
What do you think, the other students? It's more it's more formal.
Yes,
no?
Yes, you're right. I agree.
Very, very yes.
And it's different when we send email, internal email, and
outside.
Yes,
external.
and email to customers, for example. It's but generally, you're right.
Warren, is it really in this kind of meaning that you send emails always so formal? Because I'm surprised, very, very formal,
Yes.
But I know that British people are more formal than French people, of course. Of course.
I am British, I guess. I mean, there is
very lots of polite expressions. Yeah, we know. Very good. Queen. But is it always so formal, really?
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, we do tend to be quite formal, especially in the kind of introduction stages. So if you, for example, if you have a new client, a new business prospect, or perhaps even like a new CEO, and you're exchanging communication via email, yeah, we do tend to be quite formal.
And do you think it's international? This kind
international,
of
like in
if you address it to a Chinese company or American company, when you write in English, you're supposed to write always in this formal meaning.
It's hard for me to say for every single country, but I mean, I have worked with American companies in the past, and being British, I mean, there's definitely some differences in what is considered formal and what's not. But I would say overall, just to ensure that you make that good impression, try and use the formal language. Now, there's many things you can do with this. So as I said, remember, try and avoid most phrasal verbs. write things in their full form. Don't use abbreviations. Even acronyms. Avoid jargon. Make sure that it's clear. Put yourself in the reader's shoes. Empathize. What would you want to hear as the
Yes,
client,
okay.
right?
It's better to do more than less, of course.
That, I think that's the motto of today. Do more. Better to do more than less.
Yes, of course. So thank you so much, Warren.
You're very welcome. Everyone, thank you so much for attending today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I will be doing another conference next week. I believe it's on phrasal verbs. So if anyone is interested in learning more about phrasal verbs, you can come to my conference, same time, same place. Okay?
Okay, thank you. It was very clear. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, enjoy
Bye.
your
Bye.
evening. And I'll see you again soon. Okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye. You too. Bye.